We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change, alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change, alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Hello, and welcome to the April 5th service of the Unitarian Congregation of Guelph. My name is Naomi Matsui, and I am one of many people participating in this morning's service. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our third online service, which has been made possible by many skilled people working tirelessly in the background. Our community celebrates diversity in age, gender, sexual orientation, and race. Whatever your journey, whatever path has led you here, you are welcome in our community of seekers. The Unitarian Congregation of Guelph, or the UCG, is lay-led. As well, we have a quarter-time minister who supports us. As every service is unique, with different service leaders and speakers each week, we encourage you to join us a few times so that you can get a sense of who we are. We invite you to check out our website for future services and events. If you are interested in receiving our weekly email, click on the heading called Newsletters and E-News and sign up. Once we are able to gather in person again, we will resume our religious exploration program for school-aged children, as well as childcare for younger children. We also normally have a youth group that meets regularly. This year, we are exploring a few themes in our services. Today's service will touch on the themes of wellness and identity, and our speaker today is Linda Reith. As we gather today, we are reminded that Guelph is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Today we recognize the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation of the Anishinaabe peoples, on whose traditional territory we live and work. We acknowledge the tragic history between First Peoples and newcomers. As Guelphites and Unitarians, we accept the responsibility of shared stewardship of the land and respectful relationships with its Indigenous peoples. Today's opening words are by the well-known and well-loved poet, Mary Oliver. The Journey. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began, though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble, and you felt the tug at your ankles. "Mend my life," each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough, and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds. And there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save.
In this flame, we witness the power of transformation. Awed again by the wonder of life, we are grateful to be vital to this living universe and inspiring community.
For today's story for all ages, Linda has brought some friends with her.
Oh, I just feel awful. I feel so sad. Oh, Mookie, why are you feeling so sad? Oh, I just tried to help Morris. You know how he fell out of the tree and he's all sad because he can't go from vine to vine anymore? Yes, well, what happened? What did you do? Well, I wanted to help. I had an idea, and he wouldn't even listen. He just thinks I'm useless. He thinks that I'm an idiot. I can't do anything at all. Aw, that's so sad, Mookie. Tell me, what was your idea anyway? Well, you know how he fell and the vine broke and he can't reach them anymore. Well, see, I got really long arms and I could climb the tree and grab on and then reach down and grab Morris and bring him up, and I could put him right on the vine. But he wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen. There's no point. Now, Mookie, calm down. Put your hand on your heart. Just take a breath. Do you really have a good idea? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, then why don't you go and try and tell Morris again? And maybe this time he won't be so sad that he can't hear you. Okay, let's go. Morris, here's my plan. And guess what? Morris listened, and Mookie picked him up, and he got right on the vine and swung. And Mookie was very, very proud.
Good morning and a warm welcome to each and every one of you. And a special welcome to those people who might be joining us for the first time from different time zones in Canada. This ritual that we share each week is a time for our spiritual community to share the joys and sorrows from the previous week. Please join me now as we place the stones. The first stone is from Lorna. I want to share both a joy and a sorrow for my son Matthew. April 10th will be the 10th anniversary of his death, and for that I have great sorrow. I also want to celebrate his life and his very special daughters. And from Hannah, I offer a stone of concern and gratitude for my sister, who owns a small business and is terrified that it will not survive. She has been looking in on her mother regularly and taking good care of her. My sister has always been good in a crisis, but this is testing even her strength and resolve. Martha and John offer a stone of grief for the death of their good friend, Glenda McQueen. Glenda was brilliant and talented, but more importantly, kind, good-hearted, and possessed of a deep integrity. Her youngest is still in high school. For Glenda. And from Lisa Lindsay, a stone for Mike for all the changes happening at work this week. A stone for my dad, who had to go into hospital this week as he is vulnerable from cancer treatments. He is now at home with pneumonia in order to keep him in a safer environment. And this is a stone of gratitude for all those who are helping to care for the vulnerable in keeping social distances, and those on the front line willing to help and be of service, even with these new risks to their own health. A stone of joy and gratitude for being able to Zoom with our little brother in our journey for a new normal together, and for my little sister that I have no contact with now, but I'm thinking of daily. And from Naomi, a stone of sadness for my friend Sharon and her family, whose mother-in-law died on Monday from cancer. And I will place a virtual stone of joy for my sister Lorna for organizing to have some time out here with us on the West Coast. The virus cut the visit short, but I still so appreciated the time together. And this, the large stone, for all the unspoken joys and concerns that we hold within our heart and in silence. May our joys be heightened and our sorrows lightened in this caring community.
Although we are unable to meet face-to-face for a while, we continue to try and bring you weekly services in electronic format. In addition, many others are creating opportunities for us to gather for other programming, chat rooms, etc. Our newsletter is still going out weekly. We continue to rely on the support of members and friends in many ways, including your financial support. Please consider giving as you would normally by following the link on our website. If you click on the heading called Donations, you will see instructions on the right side of the page for sending an e-transfer or donating through Canada Helps. Every donation is a gift.
Hi, I'm Ryan Jackson, and I would like to share with you a loving kindness meditation. It's also called a metta meditation in the Buddhist tradition, and it's practiced all around the world, and I'd like to practice it with you today. So first, put your feet on the floor, relax your shoulders, sit comfortably. Take a deep breath and exhale any other tension or holding that you might have. Now I'm going to say a phrase, and then I'll have some time for you to repeat after me. You can repeat it out loud or in your head. We'll do a couple of phrases, and then we'll do all 4 phrases together. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I be at peace. Let's do those together. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I be at peace. Now I'd like you to expand your awareness to somebody else. It could be somebody that you would like to wish well, but it could also be somebody with whom you're having a stressful relationship with. And send them loving kindness. So take a moment to find your person. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be at peace. And now all together. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you be at peace. And then finally, I'd like to wish or open our hearts and wish people everywhere, all beings everywhere, loving kindness. May all beings be healthy. May May all beings be happy. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings be at peace. And now let's do that together. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings be at peace. Thank you.
I am very happy to introduce a good friend of mine who is our speaker for today. Linda has had a psychotherapy practice for over 20 years now, working with individuals, couples, and families with a focus on survivors of trauma. She has also been a member of this congregation for almost 40 years and has held just about every volunteer position we have ever had, including board president. Currently, she chairs the stewardship committee. She's an avid canoeist and never misses a chance to dance. Linda's topic is the power of a clear voice. Welcome, Linda.
Greta Thunberg has a clear voice. She's direct and precise. Greta is our hero because she speaks what we believe and hesitate to express. Let us explore how to build confidence in the worth of our voices and in our ability to be heard. A clear voice is critical to our lives in our homes, our community, and UCG. Now, that's how I was going to start this talk before there was a pandemic. Now, we're surrounded by voices that clamor to guide us through this overwhelming experience of COVID-19. We have lots of opportunity to compare one voice with others. Personally, I vote for Dr. Theresa Tam, Canada's Chief Public Health Officer. She hits all the right notes: clarity of language, accuracy of information, authority, calm, discernment, and enough warmth to connect. Francois Legault is earning lots of praise for his leadership in Quebec. His blend of authority, clarity, wit, and warmth has encouraged people to engage in social distancing with a more positive spirit than those of us who have been harangued. Do you have a clear voice? When something is important to you, can you say what you think? Can you ask for what you want? Can you refuse a request? Can you do all these things without minimizing, soothing, preaching, or scolding? Can you connect with people you want to influence? If you can, then you have the gift of living in a circle of calm. Calm that fills your being and touches everyone around you. You're part of creating greater possibility for the people around you to have clear voices and to live in livelier community. The permission you give yourself is infectious. It's part of a healthy microbiome, a clear gut. How do we get to have a clear voice? Fundamentally, it's about what we believe. If we truly endorse our first and third principles, 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, 3, acceptance of one another and encouragement in spiritual growth in our congregations, we get to count ourselves in and speak from an open, confident place. We get to believe in ourselves and that we matter to others. Of course, it's no accident that the principles start by articulating these ideals. They cannot be assumed. In fact, much of society denies them, sometimes overtly, constantly, subtly. Our democracy looks a lot like an oligarchy. Privilege separates us at every turn. And then there are our personal histories of being raised in families full of mostly unspoken beliefs and challenging undercurrents. What we see is not always, maybe not often, what we get. Our society is facing an epidemic of anxiety and depression, partly because we do not believe we can or should speak our truths. The world can be burning, but denial interrupts our impulse to act appropriately. That's another sentence that I wrote before the pandemic. I had no idea there'd be so many examples right at our fingertips now. Having a clear voice means letting ourselves know what we know and believing we have the right and responsibility to act on our knowledge. Knowing what we know gets undermined by second-guessing our guts. We let the stories in our heads and the anxiety in our bodies overrule what our intuitive guides offer. That's especially true if what our guts are telling us is not what we think people want to hear. For some of us, that's enough to get us to stuff our knowledge and our dreams down and barely, if at all, be aware of what's missing. Sometimes, sensing opposition brings out our inner warrior, and we say what we think is a defiant challenge, already defending ourselves from opposition before there's even a response. We can silence ourselves. We can be aggressive or righteous. We can also be manipulative if we think that's the only way to get through. Instead of directly addressing the topic, we might sidle up to it or soft pedal the impact, maybe appeal in a way intended to disarm. None of these approaches conveys the calmness I was invoking earlier. Key to changing these unhelpful dynamics is to be open to the understanding that we're all connected in love. Before trying to communicate, especially if it's something near and dear to us, it's important to remind ourselves that every part of this universe belongs and connects energetically, including ourselves. There is no separation, and we are actually all one. By settling ourselves and resting in the knowledge that we're part of a greater connection, we can relieve some of the pressure to perform and trust that doing our best will be good enough. That even if we don't say what we mean on the first try, we'll get to work it out. Of course, that's very hard to do. In fact, claiming infinite connection is the kind of statement that shuts down conversation in Unitarian circles because it's a bit too woo-woo, too close to spiritual. People get suspicious that religion is creeping in, maybe proselytizing. No. I am right now but acknowledging the possible discomfort some of you might have in reaction to my assertion of cosmic interconnection. I'm trying to reassure you that I have some understanding of you, so you'll be less likely to feel talked at and more likely to be open to what I might have to say. The same goes with using humor. It helps you know that even though I take what I'm saying very seriously, I'm still relaxed enough to make space for diversity, for your opinions. I will still love you, even if you think what I'm saying is untrue or a distortion of what might be true. That's because I trust you not to write me off, even though we disagree. I'm speaking with the confidence that we are sincerely Unitarian. That confidence grounds me so I can have a clearer voice. If we're more settled and less reactive, then the general climate is less charged. Then we will have a better chance of having a clear, powerful voice. We will be speaking from within community instead of trying to enforce community. Think of Dr. Tan. We actually will think more clearly because our brains will be fully available to us. If we try to speak from an activated or deeply emotional space, our body chemistry and the electrical circuitry restrict the parts of our brain that can be involved. We get trapped in our survival brain, which for the sake of efficiency, cuts off our natural capacity for empathy. That's not helpful in having a clear and powerful voice that supports growth. We are an animal who evolved. Our systems developed to help us survive very different conditions than our current ones. Our brains are very efficient at identifying danger and activating protection. If danger is perceived, the brain streamlines its process to get us into survival mode. Fight, flight, freeze, submit. What it puts offline is empathy, curiosity, creativity, problem solving. If we're in a fight to the death with the predator, we can't afford compassion. In fact, it's all competition. We might speak loudly and clearly, but there's not likely to be much receptivity in the connection. The message will be one of domination, not reciprocity. Or we might close down and play dead. No reciprocity there either. Perceiving danger is not an equal opportunity experience. Some of us are on high alert all the time. Others are oblivious in situations that are truly risky. These differences reflect both the DNA we brought into the world and the experiences we've had since arriving. One way of thinking about this process is to see each of us responding to the world in various degrees of openness. For example, fairly receptively and easily, right through to completely closed off. Each of us has a different window of tolerance, that is, capacity to cope. For some, a lot can come at us, and we will take it in and be able to think and feel and act in pretty adaptive ways. For others, just a harsh tone of voice can take us out of our window of tolerance, and we begin responding reflexively. That means we're acting automatically, acting in ways that worked for us in the past. In fact, we are in the past for all intents and purposes, and that really limits how we can respond to the present. Some of us go numb and act very passively. That means we've gone out of the window of tolerance into shut down. Others of us ratchet everything up, becoming highly alert, maybe aggressive, certainly rigid. In fact, Dr. Dan Siegel introduced me to a great metaphor for mental health. He suggested we think of health as being on a river. Our work is to read the currents, watch for rocks, and see the open water, and travel on the river as easily as possible, integrating feedback as we go. When we go out of health, we hit the shores, one being rigidity, the other chaos. Neither one works for us, but we all go there sometimes. What keeps us navigating the river? That's a complicated question. Eating lots of leafy green vegetables, spending time in nature, exercise, journal writing, all contribute and are not sufficient. Mindfulness is hugely helpful because, by definition, it keeps us in the present, which means it returns us to our window of tolerance, which in turn means we can respond to what is actually going on now instead of triggered memories of the past. Is mindfulness a spiritual practice? Here's where we might part company, but I think it's appropriate and useful to see pretty well everything through a spiritual lens. If spirituality is about our connection to all that is, then eating, sleeping, laughing, and arguing are all enacted within that connection. The more we live while staying with the flow of the river, the more we strengthen the spiritual well-being of ourselves and the entire world, universe. See, there we go. With me, it's all religion all the time. Oh yes, I forgot to say that the most important determining factor in the practice of navigating the river is to believe we can. Fear is absolutely debilitating if it's all there is. Of course we need to be afraid. Life throws pandemics at us and we need to pay attention. However, the discipline of self-isolating is only possible to sustain if we believe it will make a difference. The miracle of the whole world staying home is only possible because we are afraid and we believe we can help to manage the challenge of an epidemic. Unitarians have agreed to a set of principles that create a structure of community, a reason to believe we can hope and trust. We're committed to humanists and pagans seeking together, to mystics and rationalists respecting each other, even when we fundamentally disagree. The loving kindness meditation we shared earlier is a way of getting ourselves in touch with the fullness of our dream. We are firmly committed to being on the river of diversity and staying off the shores of orthodoxy or apathy. We believe that every voice has a kernel of the truth, which is why it makes sense for us to make our decisions by consensus and not majority rule, but that's a discussion for another time. When I talk about ways of making decisions, I'm beginning to talk about how to live our spirituality. And that takes me back to having a clear voice. In order to speak clearly, we need to trust our own knowing, which means we need to be in our window of tolerance, reacting to all the information and wisdom we have. We need access to our thoughts and ideas, our emotional responses, and our intuitive knowing often showing up in what we feel in our bodies. We are an integrated system, not mind, body, and spirit as if they could be separated. We also need to be able to trust the community receiving our words. We literally hear each other into speech. All of us have had the experience of wanting to say something and both giving up and not being able to find the words to express ourselves when we sense a closed audience. Receptiveness helps us find our voice. Part of what makes Greta and Dr. Tam truly powerful is their courage to believe they will be heard. If they are not heard, then people will die, and they have decided they must speak and speak effectively. They are too committed to the larger whole to give up. Their power comes from their ability to include each of us in their urgency. If each of us does not speak our truth, then our community is less, and UCG shrinks a bit. All of us can remember moments when we felt the wonder of our congregation. Those moments of wonder are when we count ourselves in, when we witness one of us choosing to risk sharing something they would normally keep to themselves. When we feel ourselves closing off or revving up, we can notice and choose to get back on the river. The noticing is mindfulness. Getting back on the river requires some skill, to settle our alarmed parts and reconnect with trust and gratitude. Here's a way that I use to get myself back in touch with peace. Join me and place your hand on your heart. Just to notice the calm that comes from connecting with your heartbeat. Bring your attention to your breath. Feel the life force strong within you. Now connect to the image, the energy of a favorite tree or the sensation of holding a powerful rock. What do you notice? Is there a slowing down? Perhaps a sense of greater spaciousness. From here, we can know we have the power to stay on the river. We have connected and stepped out of fear and isolation. I'm not claiming having a clear voice is easy, though it does get easier with practice. I am saying having a clear voice is everyone's right and possibility. I'm certainly saying that our lives and our communities will be richer and fuller if we can know and speak our truths with each other. For years, UCG has helped me know that I'm lovable and have something of value to offer, and that's been precious to me. For years, I have witnessed more and more people accept the invitation we offer to be included, to speak up. I hope that this somewhat technical talk will help us take that further. We need each other, and the world needs us.
Sets a mind and soul ablaze.
closing words, I would like to read to you a poem that was written by Linda. UCG is a vibrant community, energized by tenderness and courage. Love and trust encourage openness, joining each of us in a rainbow of shimmering possibility.
We gathered to light this chalice, we part the flame lit within us, an inspired community.
Many thanks to all the people who have helped create this service and make it available, including Linda, Hannah, Martha, John, Charlotte, Wayne, Katie, Dave, Xander, Sam, Berna, Jim, and anyone else I've left out. There is one important announcement this morning. The Sunday Services Committee has put together our spring survey, the link for which should be available today. Please look for the link to SurveyMonkey in a separate email or on our website. This year's survey asks questions not only about the Sunday services, but also all aspects of congregational life. The board and many other committees welcome your input. In asking for your input on many topics, the survey is necessarily more comprehensive than past ones. This is your opportunity to have your say. Tell us what you would like to see in future and find out how you can be more involved in congregational life. Despite our current situation that requires us to be physically distant from each other, there is still much work going on and programs in which you can participate. So, please do complete the survey. It will probably take about 20 minutes.
Go now in peace. May the love of all surround you.